It happens while you're sitting in a lawyer's office. It's a Tuesday, gray sky outside, a cup of coffee growing cold in a paper glass on the table before you. The same hoodie, which you wore to the funeral 3 days ago. You haven't washed it. You have not washed pretty much anything. The lawyer's name is Gerald. Gerald has been your father's lawyer for 22 years. He's older than he seems and quieter than he ought to be, and he has a way of putting his hands on the desk that makes everything feel final. He reads from a document. You stop listening after a while. You hear numbers. The number is $500 million. Not trust fund with strings attached. Not a scripted inheritance dropped in deliberate doses over deliberate decades. All of it. Liquid, locked, and yours. Real estate across 4 countries. A collection of private equity stakes. A catalog of artworks your father never revealed to you. Cash parked in accounts you unaware of last week. Gerald finishes reading. He looks up. You have questions? He asks. You don't have questions. You don't have anything. You are 22 years old and you are sitting in a gray building on a Tuesday morning, and the man who taught you to ride a bike is 3 days decomposed, 6 feet deep in the ground, and you are worth $500 million and there is no feeling in your hands. You nod. You sign where Gerald points. You shake his hand. You go outside into the gray morning and you sit on the curb and you look at the street for a long time. Nothing looks different. Everything is different. The first week is logistics. Gerald gives you a runaround of a team. A wealth manager named Diane, a tax attorney named Paul, Marcus, who doesn't smile and never specifies what he consults on. There's an estate manager, property team, insurance broker, a PR firm your father used to have on retainer for reasons no one quite articulates. All of them are older than you. They all have opinions. They have all very careful, very polished ways of presenting those opinions as suggestions while making clear they are not actually suggestions. You sign things in rooms. Perhaps 40% of what you're signing. You ask questions. Sometimes they answer. Sometimes they explain things that feel like answers but aren't. You learn pretty quickly that the people who manage $500 million have a deep institutional incentive to keep managing $500 million. They are not your enemies. But they're not exactly your friends either. You are the asset. They are the management. Then, on the second week, you go buy something dumb. It's a watch. $180,000. You saw it in a magazine one time. You always wanted it. You go in the store and you point at the case and you hand over a card and they put it in a box for you and you take it home in a bag like it's an Afghan or a new pair of shoes. You get to the car. You sit in the parking lot. You open the box. You look at the watch. You feel nothing. You put it back in the box. You drive home. You lay the box down on the kitchen counter. You won't touch it for 11 days. This is the first sign. You don't recognize it yet. Month 2. When the news comes, you confide in your 3 closest friends. This is a mistake. Not because they're bad people. They're not. They're the same people you grew up with, same people who sat next to you at the funeral, same people who knew your dad and loved him as well. But money alters the atmosphere of a room. You can watch it happen in real time. A slight recalibration. A new awareness through the eyes. Not greed exactly. Something deeper and longer lasting. The way they hesitate before proposing a place to eat. The way one of them mentions his rent, just mentions it, in a way he never would have before. The way when another one starts texting you more, just checking in, just seeing how you're doing. You love them, 45, but you begin to measure every interaction according to what's beneath it. This is exhausting. You've also never felt so lonely. Month 3, Marcus, the security consultant, returns. He sits opposite you in your father's study, your study now, though you haven't touched anything, and he places a slim folder on the desk. Since the estate filing became public record, he says, 47 credible threat assessments have included you as a subject of concern. You ask what that means. It means 47 distinct individuals or entities have reached out in ways that imply knowledge of your net worth and plans to capitalize on it. 3 of them are considered elevated. You ask what elevated means. He explains. You don't sleep good after that. Marcus recommends a driver, a rotating security detail, Certain behavioral protocols changing up your routes, minimizing your public social media footprint, being judicious about who knows where you sleep. You are 22 years old. You would check in on Instagram. You would walk to the coffee shop at a certain time every morning and sit by the window because you liked the light. You stop doing that. You don't do most of the things you used to. Month 4. The calls start. Not threats. Something worse. Family. Distant relatives you met twice during holidays. Cousins of cousins. An uncle on your father's side who sends a 3-page handwritten missive, beautifully so, about reconnecting and honoring your father, about keeping money in the family. Near the end, he touches, briefly, on a business endeavor, an opportunity, something your father would have believed in. You take the letter to Gerald. Gerald nods. He has a file. There are others. There will be more. You ask Gerald what to do. Gerald recommends a foundation, a formal charitable structure that provides you with a way to redirect requests. The foundation is examining all philanthropic requests, you can say. It's true. It also functions as a wall. You build the wall. You keep building walls. Month 6. You move. Not across town. To a different city. You don't announce it. You don't post about it. You pay a bunch of people to cram-pack your apartment and haul all your stuff to a new place in a quiet building with a lobby the size of your old apartment. The new place is beautiful. High ceilings, big windows, a city view that would have appeared unthinkable a year ago. The first night, you stand at the window. You have the sensation of staring at someone else's property. Month 8. You try to go back to normal. You enroll in a graduate program. Urban planning, something you always said you wanted to do. You sit in a classroom with people your age. You drink shitty coffee from a campus machine. You do the readings. You take notes on a laptop. Nobody knows. For 11 days, nobody knows. Then someone figures it out. You don't know how. A public record, a search, a link forged between your surname and one from 4 months ago. On the 13th day, you are being treated differently by the professor. You can feel it, a certain care, a certain awareness. The same recalibration you just watched in your friends. Now taking place in a classroom. You withdraw from the program. You drive home in silence. Month 10. In steps Diane, the wealth manager, with an annual report. The portfolio has grown. Despite the spending, the watch, the move, the security team setting up a foundation, legal fees, you have more money than you began with. You sat there and made money. You made more money in 10 months than most people make in a lifetime, and all you did was exist. You sit on that for a long time. Month 12. The anniversary of your father's death. You go to the cemetery alone. First thing in the morning, before anyone arrives. You bring coffee. 2 cups. Old habit. You sit beside the grave. You tell him about the watch. You explain that you don't actually wear it. You explain to him the 47 credible threat assessments and how that number is now higher. You don't ask him what he's doing here. About your friends. About the walls you keep keeping. You say you thought money was the solution to every problem you had ever had. You had very small problems. You keep sitting there until the coffee becomes cold. You drive back to that apartment with high ceilings, a view of an unfamiliar city which still doesn't belong to you. You take the elevator upstairs by yourself. You stand at the window. $500 million. No one to call. The city below sparkles as if it doesn't know you exist. It doesn't. You are the only millionaire we can't see. And the one thing money couldn't buy was the one thing you really needed. Someone to sit beside.